Today we're going to talk about two new products from Maximum Guitar Works. All right, about a week ago, I made an announcement over at Texas Toast and a live stream that they were doing about a couple new products that I'd recently started doing. And I wanted to bring that to my subscribers just in case there's anyone watching my videos that aren't or did not watch the other video from a week ago. And I think it's pretty exciting because I've come up with two new things that I'm going to be launching or have already launched that I want to let everybody know about. The two new products that we're just launching is a hard oil and wax finish system. This is something I'm calling the Mad Scientist Hard Oil and Wax Finish System, or kind of a weird acronym down the center of this would be SOS. And this would be number 7, we've got number 8, and we've got number 9, and we're going to talk about what they are and why I created them. But we're also going to talk about a new guitar builder's neck that I am offering, and that I think is going to be a pretty popular thing for a lot of builders out there for various reasons. And we're going to go into both of those. Won't be a super long video. We're just going to touch on it and give you just awareness of the things that we're doing and why. But let me first talk about the support I've been receiving. I really appreciate those who have been supporting either through comments, emails, or those who have been participating by subscribing to my Patreon system. And that is a huge help. And if you haven't heard on the other videos, I went ahead at the request of a customer and ended up initializing that system for Maximum Guitar Works. But the reason is that I am going to use whatever support that is generated through the Patreon to try to hire a local post-production video person to speed up the process, because my time is a limitation to how many videos I can put out. And it seems like a lot of folks are enjoying the content. I'd love to put out more. This might help me do this. So take a look at that in the description below. And if there's any way that you have the ability to support what we're doing here and you enjoy the videos, then please look into that. And I'm going to touch more about that at the end of this video with kind of a cool announcement, I think. So stay tuned for that at the end. So let's first start off with the story of why we created a finishing system. The main thing was, and many of you know, that I make a whole lot of jigs, like this neck hold down jig, all of my radius block sanding tools that I make in any radius that you could ever want or imagine, and in different configurations. But I make a lot of these things out of solid hard rock, maple, Baltic birch, high quality materials. But when you're working with wood, you really need to seal in order to stabilize the wood. And you need something that will penetrate and will provide at a cellular level a way to kind of close off from the effects of changing moisture, humidity levels, things like that. So I was using off-the-shelf products, and I was getting okay results, and I was happy with it. There wasn't really any major concern about the effect of the quality, but I was going through a lot of finish. So I had to come up with a different solution. So my buddy Mike and I, we started doing some research, we started doing some testing, we started trying to figure out how do we make a product that will accomplish what I want to accomplish, but we'll do it in a way that is effective, is environmentally conscious, and is cost effective. And that's what this product is. I've now been using it for about a year on all of my tools and jigs. And if you've gotten any of my tools, my radius sanding blocks or my side dot drilling jig or anything like that that's made out of wood, it will have that finish on there. And you will probably, first when you open the package, you will kind of smell how kind of scenty it is, citrusy it is. And that's because we decided to go with a route that was 100% food safe, all natural ingredients, and effective for what I wanted to do. And so that's what we came up with. And it ends up being a 3-part system with 3 distinct functions in mind. And that's what I want to touch right now. The first formula that I came up with is what we refer to as the SOS number 7. Okay, number 7 is a 1-step finishing solution that is the exact material that I use on my tools and jigs. And the reason is it combines a hard wax and hard oil, and it does it in one complete set where it penetrates into the wood, it seals the wood, and then the waxes provide kind of a nice sheen, a good soft feel to the wood that makes it comfortable to handle, but certainly protects it really well. And this was a great solution for a lot of these jigs. Now here's a base plate to one of my neck hold down jigs. And I basically take this and I do all of the machining, I do my laser engraving and all those processes. And then I go back and I finish all the sanding, and I take it from about 120 grit up to about 240 grit. You could go a little bit higher if you want, but I find that this is more than sufficient for what I do. The number 7, because it combines the hard oil and waxes, it comes in a slightly gel-like consistency. Now the consistency doesn't matter, and depending upon the temperature of your shop, it'll be stiffer if it's colder, it'll be more liquidy if it's warmer. It doesn't matter to the effectiveness, but I prefer to use it at room temperature where there's a slight bit of gel consistency to it. And that just makes it easier to apply and to pour onto the rag and things like that. So because there's kind of a slight stiffness to it, you do want to make sure that you shake it up really well and kind of break up any of those solids. Now my preference for these smaller parts is to use 1/4 of a microfiber cloth. Now what I do is I keep one of those always ready and available in kind of an airtight container. What this allows me to do is take a cloth that is already fully saturated into this, and it'll be preloaded, so it's already got stuff built into it. And that kind of helps you not waste as much. So we'll take a little bit of this and we'll pour it in, and you can kind of see there, hopefully, that it's a kind of a runny gel consistency. And if I pour too much, it doesn't really matter because everything left over is going to remain in the cloth. I'm going to put it back in the container and it's going to be ready to use next time. I did have questions in the previous video if it goes rancid. No, it doesn't go rancid. Okay, so it's kind of protected by the natural ingredients that are in with no chemicals whatsoever. And we can now take this and we can rub it onto the finish, even all the end grains, and let it soak and penetrate in. I try to be somewhat liberal with the use of it because, again, whatever's going to soak in is going to soak in, and whatever is left over is going to be wiped off and it's going to retain in the rag until I use it the next time. So there's nothing that's really going to waste. But I just let it kind of fully penetrate in, and then I'll come back in a couple minutes and I'll wipe off any excess that hasn't penetrated the wood, and that will kind of leave it to set up and for the waxes to really start hardening after the initial liquids penetrate. And on close up you can see the unfinished versus the finished, and we'll go back and wipe off the excess, but even the end grains and edge grain is very well saturated. All right, so generally if I'm doing multiple things, I'll go through and I'll do most of them, and then I'll come back and I'll take that same rag and I'll just wipe all the excess off real quick. Now, I'm not buffing out at this point because I still want whatever's left to kind of solidify within the pores of the surface. So we'll set that aside now for 10 minutes, somewhere around there. 5 to 15 minutes is typically what I shoot for to kind of let everything do its work. And I'll take that rag now because we'll be done with it, and I'll insert that into my airtight container, and I'll save that for the next use. All right, so that's half done. Now we're going to let this sit for a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. is normally sufficient. And then we're going to wipe it off with a clean cloth to remove any residuals with a clean cloth. All right. And while we're waiting on that to do its thing, let's talk about number 8. All right. So number 8 became important when I was working on projects, for instance, guitar parts that I wanted to stabilize. Okay. I wanted to have a hard oil that would penetrate and almost act as a sealer to stabilize the wood, because it was probably going to be a long time from when I was working on something to when I was going to do any finishing to it. So I designed a product that had no wax, and number 8 has no wax in it whatsoever. It's strictly the hard oil with drying agents and things like that. Again, 100% all natural. There is nothing whatsoever in here that's a chemical-based material. So it's very safe to use. You don't have to use gloves with it. I find it actually softens up my hands by using my hands to rub this stuff into the wood fibers with the cloth or whatever. But if you're sensitive to citrus, like if you peel an orange and it kind of irritates your skin a little bit, then you should probably use gloves, okay? But there's nothing harmful chemically within this product, so it keeps it very, very safe to use. So if we've got a neck, and let's say we've got a neck that we have just created, and we've sanded it smooth, we've taken it up to 220 grit or 320 or whatever you want, but it's going to be a while before you actually do whatever finishing process to it. Or what you want is a really smooth oil finish to that neck. Then one of the best products to use is the wax-free, the number 8. And what this will do, it will allow the hard oil to penetrate deep inside of the fibers, again at the cellular level, and it will completely harden over time. Now, this is much more liquid-like, so you have to be careful when you pour it because it's going to come out. Now, this rag is brand new, so it's going to have to absorb and preload some, but we're going to take that and we're going to wipe that on that neck that we are just going to wait to finish. Now, some of you may also want just a good hard oil finish, a really super thin oil finish on your necks, and I have found that this product is also great for that too. All right. The nice thing about this is there's not any wax that's kind of inhibiting the adhesion from another product that you may use later. All right, so in this case, we have got that super smooth oil just that's on there, and again, liberally, so that it soaks and penetrates into the wood fibers, and this will give us a really nice consistency. Now, when this is all set up, we can take and we can add more oil and we can slowly build that. When I do the final coat to it, I like to add the one step because I like to add the waxes, because then I can buff out the waxes at a later time. Now, if you're going to go with another finish over top of this, let's say some type of an acrylic or lacquer-based finish, it can do that, but you have to ensure that it is very dry, okay? So it is fully hardened. How do I do that? I always recommend doing a test piece. So you got a cut off piece of maple, you put the finish on that, and then you basically test it after 24 hours or several days or whatever it takes in order for that to be totally hard. And you can do little tests by putting drops of lacquer finish on top and making sure it hardens and it doesn't chip off. Okay, once it's fully dried and fully hardened, that oil, that natural oil finish, it will accept things. I will still do a very light sand back in order to create just a little bit of texture for the additional finishes to bond to. If you're doing additional coats of oil, you don't have to do that because they will kind of blend into each other, okay? And that will be fine. And you'll see it's starting to build already a little sheen from the oil. And it'll build and it'll continue to build with very light successive coats to whatever level of thickness that you want. Again, what I'll do, but this time I'll give it maybe 30 minutes, and I'll just gently wipe off the excess, and then I will set it aside for it to finish the drying process. The last product in our 3-part set of hard oil and wax finishes is the number 9. The number 9 is Fretboard Cleaner, Conditioner, and Lubrication. All right, and what this does is this adds the ingredients that are appropriate for proper fretboard maintenance. The first thing that you have is you have enough of an all-natural citrus-based cleaner in here that you can use it to clean off any gum on an existing fretboard, any dirt or oil residues from hands and things like that. That's something you have to clean off first if you're doing kind of a rework of an existing neck. And so for that, what I prefer to do is to use a little piece of a Scotch-Brite cloth. Now this is a finer grit of Scotch-Brite. Some of you may not realize that there's different grits, but this one is white, and I believe it's equivalent to like 1,000 grit, or plus or minus, maybe 1,200 or something like that. But I'll put a couple pumps of spray on that, and then I will go and I will scrub into the fretboard, and I will make sure I get one of those edges tight against the fret wire from either side to get all that grime that accumulates, you know, in those little pockets of space. This stuff, I mean, really is going to last a long time. These are 10-ounce containers here. We fill them all the way up to about 1 inch short, so there's just enough room to shake them around. These little guys are 4 ounces of really high quality ingredients. Now I say that because one of my biggest disappointments was when I was using a commercial off-the-shelf product that said lemon oil on it, and I found out it had 0 lemon oil whatsoever in it. All right, and it's a cost thing. It's not because it's better to be synthetic and some chemically generated material in there. It's to increase profitability by reducing the natural ingredients and putting artificial ingredients in there. And to me, that was not acceptable. So what I set out to do is to create something that was highly effective, all natural, but of pure ingredients. So this has got a large amount of 100% pure lemon oil in here, and that obviously adds to the beautiful aroma and to the effectiveness. And so that's the cleaning right there. And I will take a clean rag, just a shop cloth or something like that, and then right after I'm done, I will begin to then clean all of the dirty residue from the cleaning agents off. So now I'm working with a fresh fretboard. Now likewise, and I've got a little bit of dirt here that came off of this fretboard. All right, so we got that nice and clean. Now, another thing that you may be doing is not starting with a pre-made neck that's been used. You may be starting, you know, with a brand new neck, with a brand new fretboard. In that case, you can skip what I just showed you with the Scotch-Brite pad. And now what you can do is start fresh. Your frets are already installed, probably already leveled and crowned and polished out and ready to go condition. Well, the same process happens here. And now we just take a couple squirts. Okay, there were 4 very light squirts that went along here. And now I'm just going to use my fingers, and I'm going to rub the fingers in the oil and kind of massage the fretboard oil into the wood itself. All right, and again, all natural, perfectly safe, and there is nothing that you have to worry about, but but that'll just kind of help work it in. You don't have to be afraid if it gets on the sides. It's not going to hurt anything on the side. You just wipe off the excess, and that's what I like to do. Now I like to let this sit for about 15 minutes or so. It doesn't really matter if it takes a little bit longer, but let it to kind of do its thing and penetrate and work into the wood fibers itself. When I'm all done with that process, then I'll come back again with another clean rag, and I'll just gently wipe off the excess of all of that oil that is remaining on the surface. So you want to not rub it so hard that it kind of pulls it out of the wood, just enough to pick up the pulling, because you don't want the pulling of the oils on the surface. And at that point, you come up with a finish that is incredibly shiny and smooth. And I would say if the frets were not installed here, that you would have a hard time holding on to this neck because it's so slippery. And that's no joke. The first time I did this, I did a test to a board that had no frets installed, and it literally wanted to slip right out of my hands. So it is very smooth, very slick, and very well conditioned because of the natural ingredients. And I'll give you just a slight close-up to this so you can see the beautiful sheen and the condition of that natural wood. I mean, you can just see that it is healthy looking for sure. All right, now I'm going to come back and I'm going to wipe off all the excess on this, and then I'm just going to let it sit for as long as I have. If you can give it a half hour, or overnight, whatever, it'll be in a condition where you can come back one more time with a clean cloth and then just kind of buff it out by hand. And then the sheen and the softness that you will get is absolutely amazing. All right, I understand that finishes are very particular for different people and what their needs are. This may not be right for you. It may be right for you. I don't know. For me, in the testing that I did for the needs that I had, it is the best solution I could come up with. And like I said, I've been using it for about a year now. And I am so happy with this formula that I had every intention of kind of launching it and make it available to other people. But I had delays in both the equipment I needed to manufacture the finishes themselves, because I do it all in-house. I don't outsource it to another place where I don't know exactly what the ingredients and what the care is in the product. And I'm getting help with producing the labels for the packaging. And I still have some more time, but I thought now would be a good time to release this product and make it available to other people. So if you're looking for something, you're not happy with maybe what you've been using, either the quality of it or the price of it, I think you're going to like this solution and you might want to give it a try. And right now, you'll have probably more incentive to give it a try than ever before. The retail pricing of these products will be sold eventually individually on the website or as a package, and it will be $29 for each of the larger 10-ounce containers, and then $12 for the fretboard in the 4-ounce container. And that will be the standard price. And I think we've been able to achieve a high-quality product at significantly less per ounce than a lot of the commercially available oil-type finishes out there. The other thing that we have done as a pre-sale only, we are offering an incredible price on the website for half price for the complete 3-piece kit. So these individually together would normally retail for $70 total, is now selling on the website for $35 for all 3 of these pieces. I'm doing that because I want as many people to get it in their hands and to evaluate it and to give me feedback of what they think of this product as possible. And that's why I'm doing it. But I'm only doing it until I get all of my labels manufactured and I get all my bottling complete and I've got packages to start sending to folks. So right now you can only buy it as the 3-piece set, normally $70 for $35. So you might want to check that out. We've gotten a lot of response from the video I did on the Texas Toast channel, and I figured I would post it on my other channel. But that's the deal. Let me know if you have any questions. Click in the links below and you will see a link to the website to go in and order this if you want to give it a shot. The lead time that I'm expecting is probably about another month to get everything going, maybe a little bit more. So what I think I can safely estimate is any orders that come in will ship within the month of August. The orders I've already got will probably ship in earlier August, and ones that come in after that might ship a little later. But until the time that I start physically shipping these out to customers, it will remain at that introductory price. But don't miss it, because as soon as I start shipping it without any warning, it's going back to full retail. So take advantage of that. So what we've come up with is a Builder Series custom neck from Maximum Guitar Works. Let me give you a little backstory first. The reason why we came up with this is I was reminded by many people throughout the videos and the comments and email communications that not everyone has either the experience, confidence, or the tools to do a really nice guitar neck. And the guitar neck is the single most important part of a guitar, in my opinion, and I think most folks would agree. And that's because it has the connection with the player. So if that neck is not right, the guitar is not right. So as we were thinking about the templates that we offer for people to make their own necks, and realizing that not everybody has what they need to really do the job that they want to do with it, we say, well, what if we offer a product that gets them most of the way there, 85% of the way there in building a neck. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the necks and we're going to take them up to a point where we've completely sanded them to 120 grit. It leaves you some finished sanding to go. The finished sanding can also be used to slightly reshape the contour of the neck if you want a different shape other than what we offer. The 85% there approximately will also leave you to do the installation of the frets within the slots that we do for you. And so you can learn the skills of installing, and flush cutting and filing and crowning, and polishing out. And you can use my videos in the series, like the recent Strat series, that kind of shows you how to do all those processes. And you can learn how to do that yourself. And then whatever finishing system you want to use. We already showed you the oil system, and this one already has only one coat of the one-step oil finish system on this neck, and I'm telling you, it is smooth, like a baby's butt, so to speak, and it just feels really nice on that neck, and it's certainly a good way to finish a lot of woods and get a really soft, thin feel with a lot of connection for the player. All right, so it brings you about to 85%, 90%, whatever, of a completed neck. Now, we have a lot of options when doing this. The critical thing is we tried to establish a price point that was going to make sense for most builders. So, for instance, this is a higher end neck with flamed maple, probably on the area of grade 4 to grade 5. And this is really nice quality flame roasted with a wenge, kind of an African exotic wood that is really amazingly incredible for fretboards and many other things. But we offer a lot of different options. This neck would probably be just like you see it here in the mid $300 range for all of the different things it has available for it. But what we're building is a price point that starts sub $200 for the Builder Series necks. So a regular hard rock maple, similar to a hard rock maple used in this neck, with a hard rock maple fretboard, is going to start at this time for $189. If you want to add a very classical and traditional rosewood fretboard, that's only $10 more. $199, you get that. And then we developed this ordering system that allows you to pick and choose what level of features that you want. And I think the easiest thing for me to do to talk about that is not really just to describe what features is, but kind of show you some of these things and to show the ordering system. Okay, we're going to go on the Maximum Guitar Works website. We're going to show you how easy it is to order one of these Builder Series custom necks. So the first thing you want to do is come up to the home page, and you can click the menu and come over here to Guitars and Parts. And when you get to that link, you'll see Guitar Parts. And so there's two things in the guitar parts that you will see, and that is our patented BTS and BTT guitar knobs in there, and now we also have the Guitar Builder's custom neck system. And if you click into that, it'll come up. Now currently we are only offering the 25.5 inch scale, but we're working on the 24.75 and the 25.0 scales, and we're also going to be working on not only the bolt-on series, but also the set neck series. And that's to go along with our set neck series of fit-all template systems, that where they would kind of work together, but you'll see. And there's different examples of the maple with wenge and rosewood, and all the different options. Here's some ebony options with some roasted maple, and so there's different choices that we certainly can make in here. Now let me show you how it goes. All right, if I didn't mention it already, the current lead time for these is 30 days. Now, we think that we're going to be able to pump them out a whole lot quicker than that, depending upon what the demand and then what our supplies of materials are and how we need to kind of plan for that. But we're starting off conservatively to make sure that we can meet those expectations, and then we'll begin to lower those time frames as we feel more comfortable that we can meet them and get things to folks in a timely manner based upon what their expectations would be. So we come down here, and this is what I wanted to show you how easy this is, because my buddy Mike did an amazing job on this, and it is so easy to order a custom Builder Series neck that it's just, I don't know if it could be any easier. You choose your neck wood. Now let's say you want to come down here and you want to pick just your standard hard rock maple. All right, that's the 189. And then you'll come down here and you have a lot of choices. Okay, nut width, I've got two. I've got 1 11/16, I got 1 3/4. All right, let's say we want a standard 43 millimeter nut width. We'll go with that. Now we also have neck contours that we can specify. The first one being about 21 millimeters at the first fret and about 23.5 at the 12th fret. And you can look in here and you can see what the empirical measurements equivalents are of that. And then we have a slim version for people that like a little faster playing neck, and that'll come in here around 20 millimeters and 22.5 millimeters for a little slimmer feel to it. Now, in this, you can also select no thank you. Okay, if you want to carve your own neck, and that's fine. We can certainly do that. If you want to choose a fretboard, let's say you choose that maple fretboard, there's no additional cost for that. But if you want to choose some of the optional ones, Indian rosewood, the roasted maple, the Baduke, the ebony, the wenge, there's different price points that add to the overall price of the neck when you add those. Headstock options. I didn't talk about this previously, but we're going to offer 3 basic headstocks plus a custom. So we're going to do a paddle head that is set up for a 3x3 headstock that has no tuner holes, because you have to establish the shape before you can realize or figure out where those tuner holes are going to go. We've got a paddle head 6-in-line for a right-handed standard guitar neck, and a paddle head 6-in-line for left-handers and or a reverse headstock construction. The paddle head, and I'll show you that again back at the table, but that gives you the ability to cut your own shape for a one-off design, and you have plenty of real estate in which to do that from. The last option is a custom headstock shape. All right. Now the custom, it means you have built maybe a couple guitars and maybe you have orders for another 10 guitars or things like that. And it's worth it to you to have me take your headstock design and put it into the manufacturing process of this neck. There's a $100 first-time CAD fee for the CAD, the cam, and the setup into my CNC structure. Okay, if you get one neck, it's $100. If you get 10 necks, it's $100 total. All right, a one-time fee. That means if your headstock shape you use for the next 10 years and you order 10 necks a year from me, it would be $1 per neck, as it's, carried out. So you see, it's very affordable to kind of get that customized. Now, the thing is, when you do your custom neck or your custom headstock on your neck that we're building for you, it needs to be your own shape. All right. Now, there are a lot of different headstocks that look similar to other headstocks, but you don't want to just copy somebody else's and risk any type of guitar sales and infringement on copyright type stuff. And certainly we don't want to get involved in that game either. So whatever you send us as your unique design, we will make for you. And that is what that's all about. Now, tuner holes can have standard options. 10 millimeter is very common. There's a vintage one. There's one that Schaller and Spurzel use, 25th 64s. Planet Waves has their own standard. And one of the most common that I like to use is Hipshot, specifically the open back locking tuners, which is very similar to Goto and Grover and ones like that. And that is having a stepped hole where it goes from an 8/32, it's about 8 millimeters, but 11/32 in the front for about 1/8 of an inch, and then it gets wider in the back for the main body of the tuning machine to 13/32, or approximately 10 millimeters. Okay, and so that allows really good support for these tuners that are designed for stepped holes. So we even offer that available. Or no thanks, and you can drill your own holes. From the truss rod, we talked about the 4 different availables. We got one standard, and let's say we select that. In fact, let's go back up here and make sure we have selected something in each of these categories. Let's go right-hand 6 in line. Let's go my favorite Hipshot holes, standard truss rod, for headstock access in a standard steel configuration. We won't add carbon fiber in this one. We'll save that for our more boutique necks with more expensive woods. And the heel shape, in this case, let's say I want it to be more of a Strat style, an S-style curved heel. And then the radius board, I like to use 12. It's kind of middle of the road, so I'm going to use that. Or we can say no thanks, and we can do it ourselves. Okay, in the future, we're going to add maybe more radius options and even compound radius options. So if you're interested in any of those additional features, let me know. And if I get enough requests, I can sequence it into my time in order to do all of the CAD and CAM work design to make that happen. All right, number of frets. For this particular configuration, we got a choice of 21 or 22 frets. 21, the fretboard would end right at the fret at the neck end, and the 22 fret would have a slight overhang. The fret slots, and again, this is kind of special options, is we can do the standard cut through fret slots like you will get everywhere else, but we're also offering for no upcharge whatsoever the blind fret slots. You click on that, let's go back and get a 22, blind fret slots, then it will have the fret slot that stops a couple millimeters before each edge, and that allows you to nip the frets and insert them to give a much cleaner, more professional appearance, but it also will reduces the amount of fret sprout that you can possibly have due to changes in humidity and things like that. So it certainly is a good option and gives you kind of that bound look without having binding. All right, and the last couple things are side dot and fretboard markers. Like I said, you install the markers of your choice, but you can choose what you want. I'm going to pick a 3mm hole in the side, and I'm going to pick a 6mm hole on the top, and that will round out. And as you can see down here, we add this to the cart. This creates a $189 neck that is ready for you to do final sanding, fret installation, and your finishing process. This, I think, is an amazing deal for you to be able to get a neck that is almost ready to go. You still do the guitar builder stuff, but you have most of it done with absolute precision to give you the instrument that will play like a dream. All right, here's the paddle head stock that we were talking about. Gives you plenty of real estate. The only thing I will say, if you're going to do a custom headstock, it needs to fit within the real estate area of a paddle head, which gives you more than ample length and width here. It's about 4 inches wide at the widest point for you to do that. But we want to keep this consistent for usability, playability of the guitar neck, but also if we went much larger than that, if you wanted to do a big eagle claw headstock or something like that, it's going to require different hold down fixturing, and I really just don't want to get into that. I want to keep the price point as efficient as possible so that most people can afford to get a really high quality neck. Now, I mentioned earlier about the Patreon thing, and if you can support us, we really appreciate it. It's going to help us put out more content, but I decided to do something else. And it's not a game, it's not a contest, or anything like that. But what I've decided is on July 4th of this year, I'm going to randomly pick one of my Patreon supporters, and I am going to send this very first off the production line Builder Series guitar neck, 25/5 scale, T style heel, figured roasted maple with wenge. This one I did install mother of pearl dots in it just to give you guys an idea of what it would look like after you installed your dots in both the side and the top. And I'm going to send this to a randomly selected supporter. And I think I'm going to do that more often in the future, just not for a big show or promotion or anything like that, just to say thank you. I often come up with things that maybe I don't have need for. Maybe it's a prototype that I used for something. Maybe it's a demo model that I used in a video. And maybe every month or two I'll come up with something that I can do this with and just surprise my supporters with something that was randomly picked out for them during a certain time. All right, so anyway, that's what I'm going to do, and that's the big secret. So if you happen to be one of my supporters in that realm, just let you know that you have a pretty good shot, just as much as anybody else that I'm going to select your name, because it's going to be random, and somebody will have this, and I'm hoping that someone who gets this will build a guitar that's absolutely amazing and will show it off at some point in time so we can all kind of see it. So if you're a Patreon supporter, check back on the Patreon site right around July 4th, and you will find out who is going to get to build something with this neck. All right, so that's what we've got. Check the links down below if you're interested in trying out any of our special half-off discount for the new pre-order of our hard oil finishing system, or if you're interested in going to the website and configuring a neck and see what the builder's neck would cost for you with your specifications and woods and such like that. And let us know if you have any questions. But this was a quick video to show a couple different products that we've got launching that may help you in your guitar building. So remember, until next time, no matter what you do, start with excellence.